Hi everybody, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 4 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here today to bring you another tip on how to help you bring more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. This is the 3rd video in a 5-video series. The first one was what's called the number 1 regret of the dying. It looked at how when people are facing the end of their life, the number 1 thing they regret is, I wish I'd have lived a life that was true to who I am versus the life that others expected of me. In that video, I talked about the power of purpose. I went into 4 questions we can ask ourselves to kind of bring that purpose to life. If you haven't seen that, feel free to watch that. The second video was on what I call the power of our past and what I call our piece of the pie. And of course, our past is anything that happened to us. Our piece of the pie is really our beliefs, our perceptions, our interpretations, our expectations that have really created our experience of life to date and will continue to. So we want to make sure we're influencing those in a way that's congruent with our highest purpose or the experience of life we want to create. If you haven't seen that, watch it. I think you'll find it very valuable. This 3rd video is what I call the Wisdom of Serenity. This comes from an experience I had growing up. I was born into a very interesting home. My mom and dad had been married 25 years before I was born, and I was their only child. Surprise! Mom went to the doctor when she was 45 and said, "Doc, I'm sick." He said, "No, you're pregnant." And she went, stress. So I was not a planned child. But it was good that I came along that late in their life because my dad had been drinking 22 of those 25 years. He had stopped drinking 3 years before I was born. So instead of being born in the home of an active alcoholic, I was born in the home of a recovering alcoholic. Thank you, Lord, because there's a big difference in the way that my dad stayed sober through the program of AA. Great program. I learned a lot by just growing up and noticing how people change their lives and make amends and take responsibility and help others. Wonderful program. If you know anything about AA, you know that the Serenity Prayer is a big component of the experience. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Become a very popular prayer today, but I think people see that prayer as either a plea for serenity, or if I do this and this and this, then serenity will be my reward. I'm going to suggest that that prayer is neither of those. I'm going to suggest the prayer is actually a formula for success. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I mean, how much of your stress and frustration, resentment, anxiety in your life would be gone if you could accept the things you cannot change? Maybe not all, but a significant amount, don't you think? And what if the prayer says that serenity is the precursor to acceptance? I mean, that's how it goes. God grant me the serenity in order that I might accept the things I cannot change. And then it will take courage to change some of those beliefs, some of those perceptions, interpretations, expectations, take more responsibility for who we are and how we are. So what if the prayer says serenity is the precursor to acceptance, courage, wisdom, and change? What that means is we want to look at anything in our past, see what we want to accept, see what we want to have the courage to change, especially in terms of our beliefs, our perceptions, our interpretations, our expectations. Think if we look at the triggers in our life, the things that in the past have triggered our stress, frustration, anxiety, we have certain beliefs about those. We see those in a certain way. Traffic, work, tests, difficult people, difficult situations. We've got a belief, perception around that based on our past experience that informs our present and projects us into the future. If we want to have more influence over our emotions, our behavior, our experience of life now and in the future, we want to use 3 little words, in the past, to describe how some particular person or situation may have triggered our anxiety. And for those of you who are following my Life from the Top of the Mind philosophy, you know that's actually triggering a very specific part of the brain that releases certain chemicals, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol, and then trap us in that cycle of stress and frustration. What we want to do is create new neural pathways in our brain from our limbic system up to the neocortex, where we engage that serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, chemicals that help us think clearer, feel better. and actually become more influential in our life by influencing how our brain processes information and the chemicals we are then putting into our body. We do that by choosing those perceptions, interpretations, and expectations on purpose, deliberately, with a goal in mind, in a way that is congruent with our highest purpose, the qualities and characteristics we want to bring to life, and in a way that is congruent with what we would recommend to someone we love. It does start with serenity. It does start with acceptance, so we're not just beating our head against an old wall that we're trying to change that we can't. Once we're past that, however, we want to look at the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference, which comes from this upper 80% of the brain. And I think what we're going to find is we're going to be able to focus our energy very purposefully on the aspects of life over which we can influence and over which have the most influence in our life. So, pretty cool, huh? I love going around the world teaching this stuff. If you're liking these videos, please hit the like button. You know how Google and YouTube really pay a lot of attention to that, Facebook. So feel free to do that. Recommend this to your friends. Please share it if you think it's valuable. If you want me to come to your organization, do a presentation on any of the material you see here or in my other YouTube videos or on my website, that's what I do. Feel free to go to the website, Phd.com. Hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and I would be happy to come and do something for you. In the meantime, here is to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity, more purposefulness, more awareness of who you want to be, how you want to be, what you would recommend to someone you love. More purposefulness and awareness about the perceptions, interpretations, and expectations that drive your experience of life. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video, which will be the 4th video in the series. See you then.